Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films Football 2024 Ravens season kickoff Thursday night. Ravens Chiefs rematch of the AFC Championship game, but more importantly, the start of the 2024 season. New season, everybody 0-0. Got to work your way back up to where you want to be. Doing a little game preview here, looking at the matchups. Brought somebody else in with me tonight from Ravens Way podcast. Yuri, he looks at the tape. He studies the tape. I study the tape. So, in my small circle of friends, of people who really study this stuff, Yuri is one of those guys, and I'm happy to have him here. We're going to look at the depth charts, look at the predicted starting lineups, and pick out some good stuff. So, Yuri from Ravens Way, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going great. Feels great to get back in the game. Get back in the way of thinking about football and getting that getting that whole spiel and talk of when we talk about film using our the lingo, all that stuff. Feels good, man. Feels good. It's looking good. The mustache is coming back in. I'm rolling, man. I'm ready. I'm ready for the season.
Yeah, live on location, Yuri, parts unknown, weight unknown, like them wrestlers used to be back in the 80s and 90s. So secret location from Yuri, but I can tell by the buzz cut he's going through some stuff over there. So give some thanks to Yuri, some praise and shout outs to Yuri, rocking the Kyle Hamilton jersey, the number 14. Or is that the Marlon Brown or any other 14s I can think of? Not sure.
Is there any other 14s? There's one out there, Devin Hester. He wore 14, right?
Devin Hester. Well, I wouldn't have remembered that, but I'm going to trust you on it. So, hey, Black Daniel's in the house. I appreciate you, brother. Want to get him on with us at some point during the season. Didn't announce this to anybody that we were going live. It was kind of impromptu. Obviously, you can see Yuri's out there. So just glad to have Yuri with me, but I want to bring in some of the family. So email me, DM me. Get a hold of me if you'd like to come on and talk some ball. We'll do that during the season for sure. But Black Daniels, man, longtime supporter. Rolesville Rams, is that right? Black Daniels, I think I got that right. Always liking his, I'm not sure if you're a coach or what's going on out there, but big time program out there where Black Daniels is. So I appreciate him very much. So Yuri, any thoughts on, just before we get into the matchup itself, any like big term, big picture thoughts on where the Ravens sit going into the season?
Well, I think we have to start first with the offensive line. We talked about it on the last pod I did before I stepped away for a little bit about the state of the offensive line, and you said you were quoting the Ravens. You were like, "Hey man, if we believe in Falele and Stanley's going to be healthy for the first time in a while," and it kind of seems like they are going that way. They believe in Falele. They believe that Stanley's going to be healthy for the first time in a while, and that the rotating tackles, which I am going to assume that they're going to rotate the right tackle spot at some point in this season, maybe this week, maybe next week, maybe whenever. But the offensive line, that's my first concern, and that's my first roadblock, kind of mentally mapping out the team throughout the season. Like, can they be able to pass protect with five consistently down the line? And that is a big question for me.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Now, I think that there is reason to be optimistic about the tackle situation for me. I feel pretty good about the tackle situation, better than I did last year this time when I looked at Ronnie not practicing and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, man, it's going to be another Ronnie / McCary and days off practice, and he's not going to be right. And man, we got to get out of this contract or else we're in trouble. Now, when I look at it, I see Ronnie practicing every day. Saw a video of him hopping around today. We saw Instagram leak, so quote unquote, of him catching a touchdown on a trick play. He posted the picture himself. So it'd be great if we got awesome left tackle play like that. In itself would be a huge difference from years past. And then on the right side, Patrick McCary, I think we have a good feel of who he is as Ravens fans. Just a tough guy. He's going to do an okay job over there. Good job, solid job. And then Rosengarten's, if you're suspecting the rotation, I think that's probably a pretty good assumption too. I probably agree with you on that. McCary's the listed starter. Ease Rosengarten in. Maybe he takes over full time as the season goes along, like we saw with Orlando Brown. And so I feel like we'll get good tackle play. It's the guards. It's just really the guards. And the point that I made with Sarah when I was on her show and other shows I've been on is that if Faalele is going to be the right guard, Yuri, I think it's going to take some running plays out of the playbook. So I'm not even too concerned about the pass protection. I mean, they're going to struggle there. Faalele, first year starter, Voorhees, first year starter. We're going to have some struggles in pass protection, but I'm talking about you got Derrick Henry, you have Lamar Jackson, your two of your best players are in the backfield. You want to be able to run the ball. Do you really trust Faalele to climb to level 2, to block Patrick Queen, to block Logan Wilson, to block JOK? Can you pull with Faalele? It doesn't look like it. We saw him do a little bit of that in the preseason. So, can you run outside zone right? I know Coach Evans, broke down a play on that where it's just like Faalele has trouble getting out of his stance and turning his hips and moving horizontally. So I'm wondering how many plays we're going to have to take out the playbook. It's like, we finally got a running back who can run anything. And now we might have to limit some of the plays that we call in the run game because of stagnation from, one of the guards.
Right. And, it's unfortunate because I felt like last year was almost like the inverse. Was like we were stagnant in terms of the pass protection plays we could call, like the shots downfield. It felt like at times last year with John Simpson, with the way he would lose, like when John Simpson lost, he would lose pretty bad and pretty quick. And that kind of I felt like in my mind limited what they could do in terms of the pass concepts that they use downfield. Now, to your point on the inverse of them, really, with Falele, he's not a, to your point, he can't climb to the second level quickly and efficiently and be able to take out a linebacker like a Patrick Queen, like some of these athletic safeties, hybrid safety linebacker types that are in the NFL now. So, I've always wanted that outside zone running scheme wherever we're going east to west instead of north to south like we usually do with the gap scheme. But I think we're obviously going to hold off another year on that one.
I'm hopeful that they can find some. My frustration is like you can pick on John Simpson's pass protection. You look at his highlights that I put together on the channel and Huddle It Up Films. I mean, this man was a butt kicker in the run game, and we could run behind him. He could pull, he could climb. If you asked him on the back end of a combo block, he would just twist that man into oblivion, get some movement. So I feel like last year it's like we had Gus for a certain set of runs and Justice for a certain set of runs. But it was kind of like, okay, neither one of them are good at the other one's runs. They specialize in their own. Now we got a back that can do it all, but the line is kind of limited. So that's I'm a little bummed out. Now I will say I'm not going to harp on this all season, Yuri. Like I'm not going to be that guy that comes on here every week on Twitter or whatever and just blast the offensive line. It is what it is. You remember having me on and I was like, they're going to say they're going to believe in Faalele and they're going to believe in this and believe in that. And son of a gun, that's what they did. It's not what I would do with, one of the best quarterbacks in the game, one of the best running backs in the game, but it is what it is. I would say the positive to me, Yuri, is that Lamar Jackson himself makes all offensive lines better. And, you can credit Joe D, the late, great Joe D, rest in peace for some of that. But you have to give Lamar some of that credit, too, as far as, making up for some shortcomings and some missed blocks on the offensive line.
Absolutely. Lamar really is a force multiplier when it comes to that, especially with the tackle play. We've seen lesser athletic tackles work out here just because of Lamar's ability to extend plays. And, we've seen some tackles go off and get paid a lot of money and really offensive line in general just because of Lamar's ability to extend plays. So that plus Henry plus play action, putting those three together really can mask any for unforeseen issues or foreseen issues with the offensive line in my eyes. I feel like if they use and I remember the presser before back in like May where Monken was like when they were asked if using Henry and Lamar in an under center play action like scheme, if that was what's the word I'm looking for? Like if that was geared towards the best of Lamar's ability. And Monken said no. Now, I was hoping for selfish reasons that was more of like a smoke screen. Like no, like we'll do it, but you know what I mean. Like it was more of like a just like a throw out answer than an actual like no, like we don't want to do that because I think that at some point in this season, in order to get more 12 personnel involved and to use the strengths of Henry getting the linebackers flowing in play action and Lamar's ability to freeze the backside defender, I think under center play actions is going to be a really big key, especially if the offensive line isn't holding up in pass protection.
Yeah, I think they'll use it. I do think they'll use it. Now, like a moving pocket as far as your bootlegs, a lot of times with Lamar, teams are all over that because all eyes are on Lamar. That backside defensive end does not respect the running back whatsoever. He was worried about Lamar rolling out because it's not just about beating you with your arms, but Lamar can gas you with your legs. But the straight, like one of Lamar's many talents that people don't talk about is his effectiveness out of play action, and he sees the field really well. There's numerous examples on tape through the years. I mean, it's a consistent. Lamar sees the field really well, so he's turned his back to the field, and for play action and turns back around. He's able to diagnose quickly and beat defenses. And if you look up his play action numbers, I don't have them here, but they're very good. They're extremely good compared to like every quarterback's play action numbers are generally a little bit better because you have the threat of the run in there, but his are off the charts good. So looking forward to that. Yuri, there's a lot to be optimistic about. I haven't looked in a couple of weeks, but the Ravens were either the third best odds or the fourth best odds to win the Super Bowl. I feel like fans harp on the offensive line, and rightfully so, in my opinion. I mean, I could go on a whole diatribe about how I'm not happy that, how we addressed it, but this is a pretty damn good team. Top to bottom, defense, weapons, quarterback. You look around, and the Ravens, they're up there in the Super Bowl rankings or Super Bowl odds for a reason.
Absolutely. Real quick, just to add on to the play action thing, I remember on the good NFL Pro that I've been preaching to you about, on 157 dropbacks, he was sacked 3 times on play action concepts. So I just wanted to toss that out there. That was um,
By the way, Yuri has got big money apparently because I looked at the NFL Pro and my program on NFL Plus is not good enough. So we have to start a GoFundMe so I can get those stats, or Yuri will illegally send them to me. Go ahead, Yuri. Sorry about that.
look. You can just show them your high school card or your college card. Just
Yeah.
say you're a student. You're a student. You look young. You're back in the day. But yeah, in terms of the overall roster, um, yeah, they are favored to probably win the division. I haven't looked at the odds because I've been under a rock for a while, but I'm assuming they're favored to win the division and probably be at least the 3 seed. I guess at worst the 3 seed or the 4 seed in the AFC. I mean, it's a good defense. It's a really good defense. The defense, I mean, their secondary is probably the best in the league. Um, and you have Marcus Williams. You have that great safety group. You have a very deep outside corner group, which is something that they had last year, and is something they leaned on last year, especially with Marlon Humphrey missing time. And you look at the defense this year, and Clowney's certainly a big loss, and I won't sit here and lie to you and say that it wasn't. But the way that Ojabo looked in the preseason, and you add another year of Odafe Owe hopefully developing. The defense is going to be good. The defense is going to be good, and my concern for the team, and the team will win a lot of games. They'll win at least 12. They'll win at least 12 or 11, without a doubt in my mind. It's just once it gets to those teams, once we get facing those teams, the ones and the twos, basically the teams that are slightly above us. How does the offense click? How does a and this is not disrespect to anyone on the offense. How does a lesser talented offense beat a better talented defense? And it's going to happen. And so that's where my mind is currently like incinerating around is like how does our offense develop here in year 2 of Monken? Derrick Henry comes in. How do they get better, and how do they get more on schedule? That way they can beat these higher, better talented teams.
I think I have a way to do it, and something I'm looking for early in the season and as the season progresses is I'm super high on Lamar having control at the line of scrimmage for the second year. This is going to take time, and when I mentioned this before, there's something actually that Sarah pointed out that Steve Young said the same thing that I did. That, and I think that it's just easy for anybody to see. It's not special opinion here. That last year was the first time Lamar had autonomy at the line of scrimmage. That takes time. You don't just wake up and he got a 19 game six, or I think he only played 16 the rest of the last game, 18 game trial and error of it last year. Saw how defenses adjusted to his adjustments and how he adjusted to their adjustments to their adjustments to their adjustments. So Lamar coming into his Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers checks at the line, Tom Brady checks at the line. I mean, we even saw Cam start to do it later in his career. To me, that is the key. Second year in the offense and Lamar's second year having autonomy at the line and really being able to change things up to put this offense in more advantageous situations. Like we're going to get into the matchups in a little while. The Chiefs cornerbacks, for instance, in this game, I'm not real high on them. Trent McDuffie, all pro. He's only one person, Yuri. So they don't have a pure slot corner. They use three linebackers a lot to cover up. So if you go three linebackers against, when Andrews and Likely are in the game, you're going to be in trouble. They're outside corners. They don't have like a firm starter. They got a couple of 7th round picks out there. So Lamar's ability to check at the line to say to Bateman, who might be one-on-one with one of these 7th round draft picks that can't handle him. That's the kind of things that I'm looking for. Or, Trent McDuffie, for instance, is only one person. Or maybe they have, a hole in their defense, or maybe they're creeped up to play the run. Lamar being able to make those checks, that's where my optimism for this season. That's how they can get over the hump and hoist the Lombardi this year.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. There were a lot of times last year, to your point, watching Lamar go to the line of scrimmage and give checks and have the right answers to those checks. Like he'd go to the line of scrimmage and you would see the defense give a heavy look or a pressure look, and you'd see Lamar go to the line of scrimmage and clearly make a check into a play that would work. A lot of the times, I remember the Titans game in particular. There was 3 times he went to the line of scrimmage and 3 checks into slants for
Aguilar almost broke one, right? Wasn't that the game Aguilar?
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
So those are good. To your point, and something that we wanted to see for a while was him have autonomy in the line of scrimmage. So that is a good point. And that is something actually I haven't thought about yet. Was like year 2 of Lamar having that responsibility, and him growing and developing in that aspect. How much can that help the offense grow? So that's a good point. And then you also think about the young offensive line that they've having its growing pains early on in the season, but maybe as the season goes on, they gel. You remember?
Right.
I remember in the 2012 season, early on, and maybe I'm misremembering, but I remember early on in the 2012 season, the offensive line had problems. It felt like to me it had issues, and as the season went on, it started gelling, and it kind of felt like it was coming together, and then the offense started putting it together. Now, obviously, different season, different time period, different NFL, but that is another thing that that I haven't put a lot of like, okay, well, what if the offensive line can gel together? Rosengarten gets more playing time, then they can start pass protecting with 5 more, yada yada yada. So
here's a good one for you, man. Little funny off the top of my head. That 2012 team brought in Big Bryant McKinney late in the season for that playoff runs, put Michael Orr to right tackle where he was better, and they were damn near perfect in the playoffs. Could Ben Cleveland be that guy that comes in, doghouse out of shape, and then all of a sudden he's the difference maker? Because that's the guy I'm looking for on the offensive line. Look, he's limited in his movements too, but not to the point that Daniel Faalele is. Hopefully Harbaugh's pulling a little switcheroo on us, and Ben Cleveland will be starting out there on Thursday, but it doesn't look like it. If you saw Todd Monken's comments today, it doesn't really add up. So Yuri, I'm going to bring this up, man. It's time. Hopefully y'all out there can read this okay on your phones. I tried to make it as big as I could, but obviously it's also wide, so it was kind of hard to fill up the whole screen. But this is the Ravens offense versus the Chiefs defense. And, I just picked 11 personnel because we can talk about what happens when two tight ends come into the game or we go for a heavier situation. And of course, it's important to keep in mind here, guys, that these pass rushers, the defensive front, they move around. The corners can move around. So, in no way, shape, or form am I saying these players are going to be one on one against each other all day. This is just a quick look at their personnel. Um, Yuri, this is what I'm talking about though. At the cornerback room, you look at McDuffie. He's a left corner. He's an off corner. McDuffie isn't the kind of guy that presses, so he's usually good on the left side, and his skill set matches up best with what the Chiefs have to defend Zay Flowers. They don't really have another quick footed corner, so expect to see McDuffie on Flowers a lot this game, Yuri.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, who who takes who here? Like where does McDuffie go? Because I know McDuffie is primarily if I'm not mistaken, a slot defender. He is their kind of like Kyle Hamilton. Like they'll play a little on the outside, a little on the slot. So Flowers, McDuffie. I mean, that's probably going to be the matchup of the game right there in terms of the offense. Is how does that matchup go? Um, and where how do we basically, to your point earlier about the cornerbacks of Kansas City not being the greatest. How do we get McDuffie out of the game? How do we get him to a point where we're motioning guys to the outside and we're opening things up by kind of moving him off his spot? Um, and I think that's going to be very important. And then you look at the matchup on the other side, Bateman and Williams. I think that this is like the the Chiefs have great linebackers. I like their safeties. But this is going to be another game, and shout out to Voss. He's fortunately not with us tonight, but shout out to him. Is how do they attack this defense outside the numbers, downfield? I mean, it was the theme going into the championship game was how are we going to take advantage of a team that's going to blitz us a lot, and it kind of, to me, it always circles back to how do you take them downfield, how do you beat them downfield, and then also how do you beat them in the flats and getting the
One
ball
on
out
one,
the
right?
flat.
One on one. If they're going to blitz, there's one on ones there, quick winners. So Big Flowers is going to have his handful with McDuffie. I mean, he didn't make All Pro for no reason. Very quick footed guy, but I don't think that Joshua Williams, Justin Watson, those guys aren't lockdown corners. Like I said, former late round picks, seventh round pick maybe for both of them. They've played okay, but last year, of course, they had their big loss was L'Jarius Sneed. They had a lockdown, so they had McDuffie, who could play in the slot last year. Yuri, this year McDuffie's going to have to play on the outside because L'Jarius Sneed is not there, and they can only cater to one side of the field. They can't cater to both sides of the field, so they can't rely on L'Jarius Sneed to lock down one side by himself on an island and move McDuffie around. That's why I really think McDuffie's going to be on Flowers. I don't think wherever Flowers goes, McDuffie's going to have to travel with him. And I'm looking for those big one-on-ones with Bateman, Aguilar. You know, I would say, Yuri, any final thoughts on that? You want to transition this into like the defensive line or the run stopping game or the pass rush or wherever you want to go with it, buddy.
Um, yeah, I mean, the last thought I would toss out there is obviously if they're, and I said it earlier, is if they're gonna blitz. Um, I know he didn't practice a lot. I know he didn't practice a lot, but I think it would be nice to just see just one deep shot to Tez Walker. Just one deep shot. I mean, he's got to be fresh, green around the gills, so to say. Where yeah, he hasn't had a lot of experience, but he is. I mean, he's not banged up. You know what I mean? Like he's banged up, but he's not football banged up. So I feel like I'd take one deep shot to him throughout the game, but. Switching to and the other matchup I'm looking at right now, Jason, in terms of just staying in the same vein of the pass pro game,
Right.
is Karlaftis and Macari. How does Macari going to handle a power rusher like that? That's where my mind went to first, outside of just on the edges. How are the tackles going to hold up? Does Chris Jones slide out like he did during the playoffs and slide out the edge? I think that's another curious thought that I am thinking about right
Yeah,
now.
I think they'll move those guys around. I mean, there's not a lot of depth, but for the Chiefs with pass rushing, they have I forget his first name, but his last name is Wharton. He was his first name begins maybe Tristan Wharton, but he is a pass rushing, sub rushing type D tackle. So they do have where they can kick Chris Jones out and still pressure the passer, and like you says, blitz. I want to get Jeremiah involved here, Yuri. Supporter of the channel, supporter of a lot of great channels out there. J Dub, how you doing, man? The Pat Ricard aspect. Of course, Ricard isn't on our screen, but I feel like I know where JW is going with this because of last game, Yuri. Obviously, the infamous we only ran the ball 6 times in a close game that was close without 2-score game throughout. Um, Pat Ricard's role in this offense with Derrick Henry, it's something that fans are excited about, something I'm excited to see. If you have some light linebackers or guys who are afraid to tackle, good luck with these two beasts leading the way in the running game. And one thing Faalele can do is down block. So if you want Faalele to just, if somebody's lined up next to him, you want him to crush that man to create a lane for Ricard and Derrick Henry to go through. That'll be there, man. And that does seem kind of like an easy 5 yards when we want it. Like there's got to be a couple of go-to plays in there, Yuri, that we can just keep down in distance. Maybe it's 2nd and 5 or 3rd and 5, and we're in neutral territory, and we're like, all right, well, we'll run it here because even 4th and short, we're going for it to just wear down on defenses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about to Jeremiah's point. Pat Ricard led, I think, in both phases, passing and running. If they wanna throw the ball and Kansas City's blitzing again, you get Ricard out there on the field, put him in as a tight end, and have him go there and block as a 6th offensive lineman. And in the run game, and this is we're getting a little crazy here, but if you want to put Cleveland in at in like a heavy personnel goal line package, put Cleveland back at guard and move Falele out to tackle. That's an
Yeah,
idea. Um,
6-0
so
lineman, right? The 6-0
yeah,
lineman.
yeah. So we got a lot of meat between Falele and Ricard. We got a lot. Those are two really big dudes, two big strong dudes. Well, two big dudes, and they should be able to move bodies in the run game. I don't think this will be like it'll be like the championship game where they only run the ball 6 times. I mean, they should be able to run the ball at least 20 times in this game. Um, and the only problem I see us running into and us not being able to run the ball as much as we want to is we're chasing points again.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I saw somebody. It was a clip from one of the national shows, and I would give him credit if I could think of it, but I don't pay much attention to the ESPN shows or the Football Network. But someone said, one of those guys said, if you note down the comments, you pass the score, but you run to win, and they brought up the blown
right.
leads last year for the Ravens, and that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Going through what we went through last year, if we gave up leads, they stacked the box. They knew what runs were coming, depending on what running back was in there. The read option was not as big a part of the game with Lamar Jackson last year. We let our backs run it, scheduled runs. Most of Lamar's runs came on scrambles, pass plays. They weren't designed runs for Lamar. So the old run to win. And I could see us, that kind of thing helps with also, you're in the game. Maybe it's windy. Maybe it's cold. Maybe your quarterback's been sick this week. Maybe he's banged up. Maybe your quarterback's just having a bad day. Maybe Lamar's having a bad day and defense is confusing him or whatever's going on, where you could really lean on Ricard Henry in this running game. Mix in later in the year some Keaton Mitchell and some Justice Hill and get some explosive plays out of the run game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they led last year in explosive plays, and I think they were like one of the top 3 teams in the NFL in terms of explosive plays. So I hope and I expect for that to carry over this year. And even another thing that's also in there is a little bit of kind of the extension of the run, the quick pass game, the screens, the underneath to Bateman, to Flowers, to the tight ends. Have those to be an extension of the run game that's another thing I'd like to see them improve upon in year 2 of Monken is better screen blocking and better screen execution. I think that was sort of an issue last year. We've seen Henry in the past break a couple of screens, some of those tunnel screens as a running back and take him to the house. So that's another thing I'd be very excited for, and hopefully here in year 2 of Monken that takes a step forward.
Yeah, people look at Henry as, well, especially if you play fantasy football or something, he doesn't get a lot of catches. And it's true, but it's, from what I've seen of him, it's not because he can't catch the ball. It's because they run this man into the ground, and the second back that they have is usually your pass catching back or your 2-minute back. So it's not that he can't do it. It's just that he's only one man, you know what I mean? So these screen passes on first down to Henry is something I would like to see, or, get creative. I'm looking overall though at this roster, and I know our roster. Everybody knows our roster inside and out that's watching the show. But okay, you got McDuffie, all pro. You got Karlaftis, 10-sack guy. You got Chris Jones, one of the best at his position, almost generational if it wasn't for Aaron Donald. Then I look around at the rest of the guys, and it's like, we're kind of better than these guys. We're kind of better than these guys. It's a shame that we have so many questions on the offensive line. If our offensive line plays well, we can. I mean, even with a great defensive coordinator and Steve Spagnuolo, we scored 10 points in that game. Like we can put up upper 20s on this. If you just look at personnel itself, if our coaches match their coaches, Lamar has better luck, and Henry has some luck, and we run the ball this time, we can put up points on this team.
Yeah, strictly personnel wise, I 100% agree with you. I like Justin Reed. I like McDuffie. I like Jones. They've always had good athletes at linebacker. They can flow and play in the pass game. But really, outside of the one corner, the Ravens should really be able to throw the football against this team. It's just, and Kurt Warner put out a video a little bit ago of what went wrong in that championship game, and it was the 6-man blitzes that Kansas City sent for us. We were 1 for 6, and a lot of the time we didn't have the answer to that. And quite frankly, they outcoached us and they out-executed us on that day. And that is in personnel, I completely agree with you. But it seems like in the past, maybe it's a Lamar thing, maybe it's just a Monken thing, they did struggle with handling those blitzes and getting the quick game out. So I'm hoping they learned their lesson in that game. And if once that look is shown to us again, kind of like the Miami game, the Miami Thursday game where they sent the zero blitz and we were like, well, we can't figure it out. And then the year after we come back to that game and like it seemed like we learned from it, we put up like 38 points on them. We're not going to put up 38 points against Kansas City, but I agree with you. I think the upper 20s is certainly achievable.
Yeah, and it just you look at this box score, and I haven't been able to really study this tape like I do other games just from the sheer like hurt of it, bro. Like I'm a machine with the tape, but this game is a little sensitive, man. Like I saw what happened, I know what happened, I studied it a couple of times. I'm not going back, bro. I'm not going back. Like my opinions are fine and educated on it, but it was just such a painful game, Yuri. I really like. But yeah, I mean, you just look at the numbers. Dink and dunk Mahomes, 30 completions, 241 yards. Lamar didn't play horribly. The sacks were bad. That came from a lot of the 6-man rush. He had 54 yards on the ground. It's just the running back numbers. Like we outscored them or outgained them in yardage. It was 2 turnovers, 2 killer turnovers, and the 2 fumbles that Kansas City lost. I believe they lost 2. It's only showing 1 there. They got back. So, yeah, just a painful game. It's not like this unbalanced game, I think, that everybody thinks it was. The Ravens were chasing 10 points, and that was pretty much it. We only got 3 points in the second half. But, yeah, we can do much better against that. No L'Jarius Sneed. We're bringing back a lot of the same personnel. It's going to be an interesting game. Any kind of closing thoughts on the offense? I'm going to bring up John here. Typed all this in. Appreciate you, brother. Ravens 2023 under center. Will the Ravens be more under center? And if so, how much more? So just basically saying, look, Derrick Henry ran under center 709 plays during Tennessee when Derrick Henry was their running back. Ravens haven't run under center more. My personal opinion, John, Yuri's hoping they do it a lot and they use play action a lot. I think that we'll see somewhere in the middle. If I had to put a number on it, I'd say 600 because Lamar is comfortable under center. He's comfortable with the play action. Derrick Henry's comfortable in that formation, but I don't think that they're going to limit themselves. I think they're still going to want Lamar in the shotgun and being able to strike quickly with guys like Zay Flowers and Bateman who can win right off the line, that kind of thing. So that would be my personal opinion, John, is like when you put this up next year, may say like 608 times will the Ravens be under center.
Yeah, I would probably put it around the same. Will they be under center more? Yes. If so, how much more? I'd probably put it around the same, about 50-50.
Split down the middle, not as
Yeah.
much as Tennessee, but
Yeah,
more.
that Tennessee split is crazy. If it was Yuri, the offensive coordinator, I'd probably take it a little more towards Tennessee. Not as much as Tennessee because I think shotgun is still advantageous. And man, the NFL Pro, man, the NFL Pro, it had on there, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it had Henry's yards per attempt with shotgun under center. And I think he had more yards per attempt out of shotgun than he did under center.
Well, you would think
Don't
so
quote me.
because a lot of those are going to be passing plays and give up plays like 3rd and 15 where they can't make it and they just want to get some yards. And they're preparing. The other team also is preparing for the under center, so
Right.
that would make sense. Like if Tennessee's going to run under center 709 plays, during the week, that's what you're going to prepare for. So I would suspect the shotgun will catch them a little more off guard there. But great stuff. Thank you, John. I appreciate you on that. Let's go over to the other side. Love the personnel here for the Ravens. Obviously, they have guys who can move all over the place. And, like I said, when we put the KC defense up there against our offense, these players will move around. There will be other players in and out. This is just the base that I started with. I firmly believe I'm going to start here with you, Yuri. When they go in 11, where Kelsey's the only tight end on the field, that's when I expect Hamilton to play safety. So as you can see right here, to be matched up on Travis Kelce. When they bring in their blocking tight end, that's when I expect Eddie Jackson to be on the field over that blocking tight end and Hamilton to be in the quote unquote slot following Travis Kelce. That's kind of how I feel on this. So in this 11 personnel, you're not getting Hamilton in the slot. You're getting him in strong safety here. Wiggins, Worthy. We can match up so many different ways with these guys. Humphrey on Rashee Rice, I think, would be a really physical matchup in the slot if they put Rashee Rice in the slot. Listed as the slot on their team website, I believe. I tried to mix and match the team website and Our Lads and all this other stuff. Offensive line, Yuri, really good guard, center guard. Very questionable, the rookie, Kingsley Suamataia on the left side. Jawan Taylor, the former Jag, racks up a lot of penalties at right tackle. Isaiah Pacheco, obviously, hard running man at running back. And the best quarterback of our generation now, Patrick Mahomes, leading the way, something that Lamar Jackson is chasing. Yuri, a lot of thoughts for you out there. Go ahead and take it away, brother.
So the first one is just looking at it. We match up really, really well with them. Like really, this is like the first time that I've seen like us match up with Kansas City as good as we do right here on defense. Because I wholeheartedly trust Humphrey versus Rice, Stevens versus Watson, and Wiggins and Worthy. Like those three matchups, I wholeheartedly like. Now Worthy's gonna get one. It's just the nature of the game. He's gonna get one. He's gonna get like a 40-yard pass interference or something. It's gonna happen. But
he'll probably get a couple. I mean, he's an explosive athlete. It's just fun to have those two out there together. And the reason I have them there, Yuri, is because I don't know about Xavier Worthy's ability to get off a press. So he's probably going to have to work over there on Z with Kelce on the line. And that's where Wiggins is going to be. Your big press corners are Stevens and Marlowe. So it's just like it makes sense that the guy who's going to have to play Z and the corner who's going to have to play the Z receiver is I think Wiggins will play a good bit in this game, man.
Yeah, I agree with you, and obviously from a speed standpoint as well, they both match up. Both are 4-3 guys, but they're very fast. Um, and then obviously Hamilton and Kelsey. Obviously people are going to bring up the championship play, the Kelsey back. That was black magic. I don't trust that play. That was pretty good coverage from Hamilton. And then obviously we have out of the backfield, we have the two linebackers to take Pacheco out of the backfield. Chiefs love getting Pacheco involved. So, I mean, I feel really good. Looking at this whole screen, there's not anywhere. I mean, Kelsey, he's a Hall of Famer. He's gonna get his. But there's nowhere where I'm like, man, like we could really use another corner here or another something here. So just from the corner and the defensive back standpoints, I think we match up really well.
Yeah, it really is a loaded defense. I do expect Zach Orr. I think he's a future head coach, probably. He's going to do great here. It's an organization committed to defense. I do expect him to go through some rookie growing pains, though, just like Mike McDonald did. Everybody remembers the Week 2 Miami game when Mike McDonald bared a lot of responsibility on that loss right there. So yeah, Zach Orr will go through some stuff. I'm sure he's going to learn to call live bullets. I mean, he's going to be in Arrowhead Stadium for his first game. But overall, this defense is too talented. Zach Orr is too smart. He's been in the system for too long. The defense is going to be really good. And I mean, we're looking at how we match up on the Chiefs here, Yuri. But you can go ahead and insert any team. Go ahead and insert any team. Put their 11 out there, and we'll put our 11 out there, and we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I trust the Ravens defense. There have been a couple years where injuries have unfortunately taken us out of the running, like 2021. But this defense will be top 3, top 2, without a doubt. And the matchup that I was looking at, and then when I went back to the film, is Sumataya versus Owe, and how Sumataya is going to be able to handle Owe's bend around the arc and the way Owe wins. I think this is, and to Jeremiah's point, Owe Day. I think Owe could have a field day, because when I was going through Kansas City's preseason, their first drive with Mahomes and all the stars, with Sumataya, they chipped to his side. I think 4 out of the 6 plays. 4 out of the 6 plays, they chipped to his side either with a tight end or Pacheco came to that side and went to go and at least get a chip in on the edge rusher coming in. So to me, that tells me that Sumataya might not be where they want him to be as a pass protector. So they're just giving a little bit of help. And
Right.
so there's ways defensively to isolate that, overload blitzes to the other side that Sumataya isn't on, and take advantage of that to where they can't give him that help anymore, and they have to leave him on his island with an Owe, with an Ojabo as well. I think Ojabo could hit Sumataya with one of those spin moves, and there goes a sack. So I think that's the biggest exploit they have on this whole Kansas City offensive line. To your point earlier, Taylor does hold a lot, but I think Sumataya being maybe not where they want him to be in pass pro, that the Ravens could take advantage of that.
And Yuri, you can back me up on this, and anybody that's watching that studies the draft with me, you guys know how much I dig into that. Kingsley Suamataia at left tackle, great prospect. I actually had him. I had a Roger Rosengarten, but I wasn't looking at him to play left tackle. I was looking at him to be a right tackle because of what you're saying. He might need help from time to time against certain speed rushers. And my biggest question with him, Yuri, was that at BYU, he just wasn't tested. He was not tested, and his feet looked like they're nothing like Rosengarten. Rosengarten got typewriter feet. I mean, the man can really move. Kingsley is more lethargic. He looks like a right tackle. He's big, strong, long. They're throwing him out there at left tackle, and but what I was getting back to was I didn't see him tested in college, Yuri. I didn't see okay, here he is against this other guy who's going to go in the first 2 days of the draft. Let's see this matchup. All right, both of these guys are getting drafted. he didn't have a lot of those matchups. I remember watching him at Morgan State, one of the games I had the 22 too, and it's just like, man, he barely had to get out of his stance to beat those guys. So Adafio Way in year 5 is definitely, and David Ajabo, a natural pass rusher. Of course, we can throw Van Noy at him on that side as well. Different beasts, different beasts. Especially you talk about opening night, in Kansas City.
Absolutely. So that's a big matchup to me. I think that's probably um, if I had to start ranking matchups of the game, like hey, like the game's gonna whatever happens in this matchup, I think will determine the outcome of the game. That one's up there. That one is certainly up there for me. Um, and then obviously Kansas City's interior three is great, but you just paid Justin Madubuike a lot of money, so it'd be
Yes,
nice to see him get through there and continue to pick up where he left off last year. Um, I think he would. Who was the only person to sack Mahomes?
I think it was Matabike got to him, whether it was a sack or not. I think he got to Mahomes twice in that championship game. Maybe Mahomes got rid of the ball once, but Matabike wasn't a wallflower in that game. He was active in that game, and I will say, Trey Smith, Muller, excellent run blocker. Got called for a penalty last time we saw him that took away a touchdown for Kansas City. He can be beat in pass protection. Matabike got him a couple of times. Joe Thuney, former Pro Bowl, maybe even All Pro guard with the Patriots. He's on the Chiefs now as their left guard. He's not a spring chicken. Both of those guards can be had. They're very good. I mean, but it doesn't mean that they're unstoppable all pro guards when you're talking about a talent like Justin Matabike, who just beat people, had a sack in like 10 straight games or something crazy last year. Matabike can get a good push, a good rush off anybody. And if you're half stepping out there, he will make you pay for it. And what else I like about Matabike, what I love about him is he's got some finish to him, bro. He's not one of these left or defensive tackles that can get pressure, but no chance of getting Mahomes or any of these other mobile quarterbacks because like Matabike can bend, contort his body, and finish.
Absolutely. And another name to toss out there is Travis Jones as well. How does he look in year three? I expect big things out of him. I know he's kind of flown under the radar from what I've seen, but I was very impressed with his strength against the run in the preseason, and I'm hoping it translates over here. Kind of, him and Trey Smith matching up a couple of times. It's gonna sound like swords clashing. You know what I mean? Like the medieval times out there. It's gonna be fun, man. I mean, whatever happens, I would love to see the Ravens come out and have a statement win and any win, even a Patriots 2012 win where they had to kick a field goal and the field goal didn't even look like it went in half the time. It looked like how it went up. Like if it's a game like
Yeah,
that, they just need something to go their way, and there's all types of drama. I'm good with that. But
and
I
Yuri,
really
let's
am excited
let's
for
talk about this. Letthis. Like I'd see some of these conversations, and I just can't get into them because they don't mean anything to me. But you see them on the morning talk shows. Is this a revenge game? And they try to phrase it to where you can take either side. So I could say yes, you could say no, or vice versa, and we both have a point. My statement on it is this: this does nothing for us as far as like avenging last year. This does nothing for us as far as putting us in the playoffs this year, or doesn't mean we're going to be a great team if we win this game. But I'm looking at it from a strictly pragmatic standpoint. When you're talking about all of the teams in our division have to play Kansas City, um, these are the Bengals are going to have to play them at some point. Steelers, Browns. You get this one in the bag. This is almost like one of those bonus games where you're on the road. You're underdogs in this one. The Ravens are 3-point underdogs. You go ahead and get this one. This is an N1 for the 2024 Ravens. Nothing to do with last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't put any stock in it being like any sort of revenge game or anything like that. The only mental aspect I'll toss in for this is I do think that there is some mental fortitude to be gained from beating Kansas City. I mean, like, oh, like the king can bleed. You know what I mean? Like if you beat them, hey, the king can bleed. Like we don't have to go. In the next time we face them, we're like, ah, man, like we just they can't. They constantly have our number. It's kind of like New England for a while. Like we just they had our number, they had our number. But eventually, they beat him, right?
Yeah, you
You
remember
know,
when Rocky Balboa hit Ivan Drago?
yeah,
He's cut. He's cut. He's not a machine. He's a man.
right,
That's
exactly,
my pop
exactly.
culture, man. That's my pop. No, I agree with you, but you know what? I do think emotions are going to play high. You don't think Roquan is mad? You know, some of these other guys, Kyle Hamilton is mad and had to sit on that performance Kelsey had last year. Like, there's definitely emotions and carryover, but like, as far as what this game means for 2024, I think we nailed it on the head. One thing that I want to bring up here, Yuri, that I think that is important is that when you're facing somebody like Patrick Mahomes, he's going to do a couple of ridiculous things in this play. In this, where you're gonna have everything covered. You're gonna get the rush on him. The play's going to look dead in the water, and he makes something magical happen, just like teams have to deal with against us with Lamar. As a defense, you cannot hang your head. You've got to put it behind you. You cannot, you get frustrated, of course, because you're human, but you can't let those kind of things, even if it ends up costing you points, beat you twice. You got to say, look, we played it right. We had him. If he has to make a throw like that or a play like that again, hats off to him. But just to keep your mental up, to stay mentally strong when Mahomes does something he's not supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That I remember going back to the game last year when I went back through it in May and seeing that play where everyone's covered and Mahomes just flicks it to Kelsey and Kelsey dives out for it and gets a first down. It's like it was good because there's nothing you could do. Sometimes, um, with the Lamars, with the Allens, with the Mahomes, all those quarterbacks that just make plays out of thin air. Sometimes you do just have to tip your cap and be like, you know what,
That's
they made a
right.
great play. We just got to move on. You just can't hang on it too much. It's gonna just there's no need to hang on it too much. Just go to the next play and go make a play when you can.
Right.
Uh,
Don't overanalyze it. Don't harp on it. Look, you did your job. Next time, yeah, you want to attack the inside shoulder instead of the outside shoulder, whatever coaching points are, but don't worry about it, man. We got this. He's going to make his plays. And, we have a little bit of a veteran defensive presence to us with Roquan, Marcus Williams. I mean, even guys like Matabike now in this prime, Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens. Like, the only real young guys on defense are Nate Wiggins and Trenton Simpson. And they fit in really well. Van Noy, like these guys, we have a really good mix of vets on this team, but we're not old on defense, if that makes sense.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a good blend, I would say. Another player that I don't think we touched on a lot was Marcus Williams. I mean, he I feel like he's primed for a big 2024, finally being healthy, hopefully. And looking at him wanting to get another contract extension, I assume before his time is up. He could be a big impact in this game. I mean, the vets, and obviously Colin Hamilton played great last year in the game that they played. Obviously, you'd like to see that play go a different way, but sometimes you do need the vets to lead the way. And you have Humphrey here getting towards the back end of his contract.
Mm-hmm.
You have Roquan who just took the restructure. You have Van Noy who we brought back. Um, to your point, it is a great mix of vets. And on times like this, during games like these, you lean on them especially during clutch moments.
Hey, I got to bring up our guy simply. Didn't see you in there, Alex. I apologize. Um, that's my guy, man. I go on his streams, him and Sutton, Purple Rain podcast. Uh, Great. They do a great job. And of course, simply himself, the best highlight videos on the internet. And I say that as somebody who makes highlight videos myself. His are different, bro. Mine are, more educational and play after play. It simply is the best out there, man. His hype video, I had to go under the video and sign in and comment and stuff, man. Like it was that good. His Ravens 2024 hype video. So you want to get hype? He had Skrilla on there, Yuri from Kodak Black.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was in. I felt like I was in the in crowd. I'm like, yes, I listened to this guy. This is awesome. So we're all about our Skrilla this year. Simply all about our Skrilla, man. We missed out last year, missed the bag. It's that time. So yeah, simply my guy. Appreciate him checking in. Hope he's still there. So Yuri, we talked a lot about the matchups. I feel like we touched on every player. I want to say also I'm proud of Tavius Robinson. I stand by my evaluation of him coming out of college that, I don't ever think he'll be a pass rush specialist, a third down rusher. I apologize to Tavius. He's just got to show me. He just seems more of a power rusher, clean up sack type guy. but he's going to be a beast setting the edge. He's going to be able to provide pressure and be a key piece to this team this year. We're going to need Tavius to play well. We really are. David Ajabo, you mentioned too. It's just about health for him. He will produce when he's in there. He has produced when he's in there. Man has 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and basically 3 games played. So, yeah, I'm feeling really good about this team. Thursday night, I would say, Yuri, win, lose, or draw. I'm not taking too much into it. I would love to win, but I want to see, I'm looking for Lamar's progress on the offense with Todd Monken. I want to see how Lamar handles his checks at the line. Can he expose some of the guys on defense for Kansas City, like Watson, like Williams, where they don't even really know who they're going to start out there at cornerback? How does Derrick Henry look? I'm really excited about that. And of course, I'll be doing features on the channel, some cut ups on that offensive line, Yuri. So everybody look out for that. I'll be doing pass protection, run blocking, a lot of stuff focused on the offensive line coming up next week on the cut ups on the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, I'm beating the drum still. NFL Pro, man. Just you can sort to what you need. And I will certainly be taking advantage of that feature, and I will probably more than likely be doing the same thing. Just
Get us a sponsorship, bro. Get
I
NFL
know,
Pro in
right?
here,
I
like a
mean,
super chat or I don't know, something, man.
yeah. The only thing I would say to this game that would probably upset me, and I probably would put like a little footnote next to this game is if they went out there like they usually do against like sometimes against Kansas City, like think like the COVID game against Kansas City, they went out there and they just got like flattened. There was like Kansas City scored 17 points in the second quarter, and the game was over. Like Kansas City was on cruise control, and the Ravens scored late. The score looked like the Ravens were in it, but they weren't. That would probably be like come on, like don't do that.
All right, you got me with that one. Yes, that would. Yeah, and I don't want to be around Ravens flock and neighbors and everything like that if that happens to us. I just don't. That whole vibe would just be horrible. Yeah, just play well. If the offensive line goes through its troubles, I understand. I want to see Lamar play well. I want to see him check at the line. I want to see Derrick Henry give us some hope, and I want to see this defense angry. And I feel like this defense is going to play like KC took their lunch money. Like I really do. Like last year when they came into that game, we had something to take from them. Um, because they're the defending champs. But we are a little not like this. We're legit upset on defense now. Legit upset. Legit mad. Legit, feeling vengeful, and want to do the same thing in their house that we did. So it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean we're getting to the playoffs. But don't the players are human. Don't think that they're not fired up for this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I would say that you think about the video that I saw the other day that Bobby put out was he reposted the Donovan Smith video where Donovan Smith was like, "Oh, look at Roquan, crying on TV, blah blah blah." Like, players remember that type of stuff. Sometimes we act like they definitely remember that. They remember little things like that. And I know Donovan Smith. I don't think he's on the team anymore, but they remember. They remember how it felt, and
No, that after the whistle stuff that we got
yeah,
called for because we couldn't keep our composure.
yeah.
Yeah, and the Tucker stuff. It's just like they really came into our house and bullied us, bro.
But hey,
It,
the NFL, what's great about sports, Jason, is you can go out there and you can do the same thing to them when you see them again. You can do what they did to you to them. If you want it bad enough, you can do it. I remember with the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark when they first played. There was all the hype around it, and everyone's like, "Oh, Angel Reese, like, oh man, like poor Caitlin." And I remember just saying after the game, "There's gonna be a chance where they face each other again." And sure enough, they faced each other. Ken and Caitlin won. They won. The Iowa won the championship. So that's the beauty of sports is you can go out there and you can get your get back as Garnett would say.
Yuri with some girls women's basketball there. Yeah, excellent. Nothing to add on that. I do want to say thank you to everybody out there. Thank you to our football family. Love my football family. Yuri, out on location. I appreciate you joining me. Yuri said that he's down to do some stuff this season. I'm gonna reach out to some people and we'll try to look at some matchups and keep up with each other. I appreciate everybody out there that supported and watched all the videos this summer. I was kind of slow on the content, but of course, all the highlight videos, all the support you give me when I've been on with the Vault and with Ken McCusick and the other channels. I really love my football family. Appreciate you guys so much. Yuri, I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It's always great to talk football with you. And yeah, it feels good to be back. Feels good to start off the season, and hopefully the Ravens started off with a big old W.
All right, with that, just say thank you to my football family. Love my football family. Say goodnight to the people, Yuri, in that crew cut you got.
Good night, everybody. Wait, what's